Oh, okay. Hey, everybody, we're back. Pixelblips podcast. Still hanging out in my office.
Yep.
Right where you left us.
It works out pretty good for us.
So something happened a few weeks ago. That was.
Was it weeks ago? I
It will
just
be
heard
at this
that.
point.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
As we pull back, pay no attention to the Dave behind the curtain.
I
We
know,
actually
I'm
do
terrible.
not record these all live. Which, if you ever look at, when we used to have just the pictures of us. That's why I said we need to start changing up the thumbnails because you can totally see that we're wearing the same clothes in 4 shows.
Maybe I like this T-shirt. Maybe it's my Sunday shirt.
That's my Sunday shirt. Anyway, so the new edition of the Dungeons & Dragons rules came out.
Yes, because
So the cool thing that Wizards of the Coast did, which I am going to totally applaud them for, they were really good and really awesome doing this. Normally, when a new edition of Dungeons & Dragons comes out, there's a starter set that launches.
Yes.
You need to buy that, and then over the next couple months, the player's handbook launches.
they
The
give
Monster
you
Manual
more books and more
launches.
things to buy.
Yeah, basically, if it's not like Monopoly.
This is going to be like the ante to our show last week where we were all negative about stuff that we have to buy.
Yes. So on Dungeons & Dragons is a very unique board game.
Yeah.
Takes place mostly in your head. It's all up here. Dave and I both started in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition, which is famous for mostly being up here. You occasionally will get a little guide to move around this thing.
Yeah,
when you figure out your tactics on
when
the
you're in
battlefield.
combat or like if your DM is creative and awesome like Andy was, he would draw up little maps and be like, okay, this is the town that you're in.
I'm gonna get bonus XP next time we play.
Okay.
Just for saying that.
Oh yes, kissing the DM's ass is always the best way to get bonus XP.
Anyway, so but unlike a game like Monopoly, where you buy the box set of Monopoly
Yeah.
and you can play as much Monopoly as you want, there's a starter set for Dungeons & Dragons, and the starter set for Dungeons & Dragons normally will only take you through the first 5, maybe 10 levels.
Probably 5, I think, is what I remember in the last one that we played.
I think 5 was the last. The red box one was the last one, and then
Yeah.
But I remember our big board game
Mhm.
type, the one with the yellow box, and that one took you through the first
10
10.
or 15.
15. Anyway, but if you want to go beyond that, if you want to spend more money, you take your character on longer, make him more
Yeah.
experienced. You have to buy definitely the player's handbook.
Yes, and the Dungeon Master's
And
Guide.
someone that you play with should have the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual.
Probably the DM.
Probably the DM.
Probably your Dungeon Master.
As a guy that has been a DM since he was 11, I spent a lot of money and have a lot of books hanging around my house.
There's
that are
some
from
of
the
them
various
there. There's a bunch of
different
them over here. There's some at his feet.
Yeah, it's always weird that because I don't my wife and I love books, so bookshelf space is always at a premium in our house in
Yeah.
apartments. So I always have the problem is my old D&D books are always the first things that get shuffled off to the closets.
Well,
and the
yeah,
boxes.
because I mean,
But there's so much memories.
You
in
could
those.
play 2nd edition or 1st edition D&D, but
I have both of those.
but they're so much easier now.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
yes, you can be a
streamlined.
purist.
You can really say except for I always think of the difference between 2nd edition and 3rd edition, because 3rd edition is where the board game stuff started coming in really heavily.
Yeah.
And then 4th edition, you definitely need the grid.
Yeah.
It's very board gamey. But coming back to 2nd edition,
You didn't need it at all.
didn't need
really.
any of that stuff. So
Unless you just wanted to have it.
so most of the times, from 1st edition to 2nd edition, and definitely from 2nd edition to advanced 2nd edition.
Yeah.
Or from advanced to advanced 2nd edition.
Yes.
It really feels like an evolution. Occasionally, they throw the baby out with the bathwater, and it feels like 4th edition, where it's a totally new game.
But I mean,
We still liked it.
4th ed is all D20s unless it's
I liked 4th ed.
unless it's actual damage rolls.
I liked 4th ed because you could explain it to people a lot easier.
It's
and
like,
they would
so-
get it quicker.
Yeah, and
As a
usually
DM, that's very important.
yes, yes, it is very important.
You don't waste hours.
Well, I mean,
Here's a pre-made character. This is how you play the game. We're playing the game.
yeah, because I
Instead
remember
of
every time we've ever tried to play, it's always taken us well, I mean, every time we tried to play with 2nd edition, it would always take us 2 hours.
We
or
also
3
had
hours.
a dot matrix printer, so
Yes,
that was part of it.
Yeah, it took forever
And
to
if
print out the
if you're new to Dungeons and Dragons and you want to play Dungeons and Dragons and you sit down with experienced Dungeons and Dragons players and they say it's time for you to make a character, my advice as a DM
Mhm.
and as a lifelong Dungeons and Dragons player to you, the D&D newbie, is to say no. Can I have a pre-made character?
Yes, because if you make a character A, you're probably going to screw it up.
Yes.
And B, it's going to take you forever.
And every experienced Dungeons and Dragons player has the right way to do character generation.
Yeah.
And they're all different.
Yeah.
And none of them are the right way.
No, they're all different.
I'm a big fan of the roll 4d6s, throw one out.
Yeah, because then
that just makes it easier. Like if you're a new Dungeons and Dragons player,
rolling a d6 3 times, and then there's your con score, there's your strength, there's your whiz.
Yeah, if you're a new D&D player, you need a character that's kind of easy. Like so, and the easiest way to do that is to make them buff.
Yeah, it's to be like, okay, you're pretty decent. Like you're
if
double
you wanna
digits
play,
in all stats,
and
your primary 2 are like 17s and 18s.
Yeah. If you're brand new to Dungeons and Dragons and you want to play D&D on easy mode, this is what you have to ask your DM. I would like a pre-made character. I would like a human fighter.
Yes.
Done. Like that.
Extra feats.
And they will go here, and it will be all filled out. You'll be like, okay, this is D&D on easy mode.
Your dude's not real bright, but he's not,
If you want to play D&D on hard mode, just go, I'd like to create a character, and I would like to create a biracial, probably sorcerer, if we still have sorcerers in the new edition.
Sorcerer / thief.
Or wizard.
Yeah,
because like the wizard, the wizard classes and the thief classes have special rules.
Very special rules.
Anyway, so what Wizard Coast did is instead of putting out that starter set and saying, hey guys, you have to go buy the starter set, they said, hey guys, if you're fans and you already know us and you already love us, you've already played D&D, you already don't need the starter set, here are the rules.
It's 100 and something pages.
It is 110 pages, printed off at work. We're sorry, but
here to just be like, here boss, here's like $1 for all the paper I just spent.
Yeah, it includes the new character sheet, which I actually
haven't seen the new character sheet.
I do love the new D&D icon. I always love
the little dragon up top.
Yes, and did you see they got him back in the ampersand?
Yep.
So
flaws. Flaws. Right.
And it basically takes you through just
flaw, gullible.
If you already know, like they were like, if you already know how to play D&D and we don't have to explain shit to you, here's the document.
Yeah.
Now, granted,
this is what has changed from last time.
Yes, you're still going to need to eventually buy the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, and the Monster Manual because guess what? It ain't all in here.
No. But
which,
I mean,
that's the thing I hated about 4th edition.
If
they were like, here's the Player's Handbook 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that'll get you through
1 to 20,
1 to
15, or
1 to 20, and then they were like, here's Player's Handbook 2 with new classes, new races, and 20 and above.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Wait, no. The Dungeon Master's Guide was here's how to run 1 to 20 campaigns. Here's how to run epic level campaigns. And eventually it was like, I don't want to be at a table with 4 damn books.
No, but...
And apparently they are...
But, I mean...
With that in mind, they re-edited the books for the new edition to say, like, if you buy nothing else, and you only buy these 3 things, it's like 2nd edition again, guys. This is all you need.
Okay. I mean, with the advent of ebooks, you can now have all that crap on a tablet or your laptop. But I'm just saying, if you're worried about space, here's a tablet.
You just want books. Just books. Love books.
Yeah. Okay. So what's easier? I need to
Wait.
I need to find the stats for this monster. So it's going to be in the Dungeon Master 2 guide, and now I got to look on the index, and I got to do this. Or you can search through one giant PDF that's all the books.
Here's how 4th edition went, guys.
There's the 4th edition books. They just crushed Andy's spleen. Bleeding internally.
So the cool thing that they did for 4th edition that they hadn't done before that I really loved was instead of the books all coming out piecemeal like they had before,
you bought a set.
It's like a month in between. They were like, hey, or you can buy a set, get it in a nice box, and one of the books is half price. And I was like, sold.
Weren't they like $20 a pop, and you get that for like 55, 50?
I think so. I don't know.
Something like that.
They were like, I was like, sold. That's a good thing. I will buy these all on day 1. One second. So here's what you needed. You needed the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, Monster Manual.
Oh, it doesn't say on
Monster Manual.
You have to say on
Okay, so here we go. Hold on to that div.
Okay.
So you're the keep it up.
It's $104.
No, it wasn't. Amazon.com had it for half off.
It said suggested retail.
Oh,
It's $105.
Okay, so hold that up, Dave. Just hold it up so people can see. No, flat, because I'm going to start stacking shit on top of it. Okay.
Oh, crap.
So you had the Player's Handbook, right? We showed that. Well, then you had the Player's Handbook 2.
Okay, there's 2.
More races, more classes, more stuff.
More complications.
So then you had the Dungeon Master's Guide 2. More tips on how to run a campaign, more campaign stuff. I think this is the one that came with the adventure in it, maybe.
Possibly.
It definitely had this really cool how to create towns and stuff. This basically took you through mid-level play. If you're a DM, you don't really know what you're doing in mid-level campaigns. It was written really well. This was awesome.
Okay.
So you got 2. Ready?
To the pot.
There you go. So then we had...
It's a good thing I moved my phone.
Yes, true. Then we had the Forgotten Realms campaign setting.
Yes.
A campaign setting is the world in which you will put the game. Okay, so it's really nice to have these when your players ask you random shit like, who is...
Elmister.
And I can go, okay, Elmister.
He's a red wizard.
And I can find it, and I can be like, okay, this is who he is. This is who we're talking about. Makes it nice, makes it fun for your players, so that you can build...
It has a lot of the lore, it has
Yes.
the locations, it has special things.
Yes, so instead of building the world yourself, which I've done, and it's really hard...
Because you have to come up with lore.
Yes. You can actually just... Here it is. Just buy it.
Here's
So
the majority of your stuff.
Okay, we're still going.
And there are dozens of these. There's
And
not just...
And in second edition...
It's not just high fantasy
Yeah.
either.
And in second edition, this was a big gray box set that I loved.
Yes.
Came with maps and everything. It's totally cool. Okay, so then I don't think I have...
You need to hurry up.
No, I don't.
My arm's getting tired.
No, shut your mouth.
Shut your hole!
So then they had Monster Manual 2, which I don't have a copy of Monster Manual 2 on my lap right now, but I think I have someone somewhere in the house. Anyway, so then they had Player's Handbook 3. So in this
30 and above.
Yeah, this goes over Psionic, Divine, and Primal heroes, more character classes, more stuff. So then, of course, we came out with... Oh, I don't have my third dungeon. Oh.
Yeah.
So then we had Monster Manual 3, high-level monsters. I don't think I bought the... I don't remember if there was a third Dungeon Master's Guide or if I even bought it. But high-level monsters, which is always a hard thing to make challenging monsters for high-level players because they have a lot of powers.
You can't just, it's not like...
So then we had the Adventurer's Vault. So if you want to stock your item stores with random things that are cooler, you know, you don't want it to be just a +2 sword. You want it to be a Vorpal +50 sword of scaling. That's in here.
Like scaling as in it gets more powerful as you do, or
Yes.
it helps you climb?
So then we had this was the thing I really liked about 4th edition is they had cool mega adventures. I loved the mega adventures this is a book in itself, but it's also an adventure, so you can take your characters through an entire multi-session, multi-game quest. Really cool.
Could take
really
like
liked
a year
this.
to do, depending on
Yes.
how many times you meet and how far
This is
you
also
get.
one of my favorites. I always liked the
Against the Giants.
Yeah, I always liked the Against the Giants back in 2nd edition, and I liked when they redid it for the Silver Anniversary, and I liked the 3rd edition update of it, and I really loved this one, the Revenge of the Giants. And then you had the Dungeon Delve, which if I was, you know, maybe I'd worked a lot that week and wasn't ready on the day that the adventurers were going to come over, we're going to play our game, I could just open up this and just be like, okay, you guys are level what now? Your average level is 5. Okay, I'm going to flip to the level 5 adventure, and here it is.
Here you go. I'm lazy. Here's your generic.
So
D&D.
obviously this was a lot of books. Okay,
And there were more
there's-
that he didn't buy.
there were more I didn't buy, and there are actually I'm noticing there are much more on my bookshelf that I didn't pull off my bookshelf. So these were
Imagine if you were
became
doing this
an-
at somebody else's house and you
Yes.
had to lug this crap around.
Yes, it became a very expensive hobby, especially since with 4th edition you had to buy the miniatures and the battle grids and everything.
If you had miniatures, people can use their imagination.
Yeah. So, but it became kind of an expensive hobby.
Or you
so
could just use like broken toys and be like, you're the race car, but you're
Yes.
actually the barbarian.
So the fact that they give us the starter set as a free download, I don't know who I have to hug at Wizards of the Coast,
Everybody.
but I'm hugging you. Next time I see you, I'm hugging you.
everybody at Wizards of the Coast.
You guys are getting hugs. So and the starter set's cool because it comes with an adventure.
Mhm.
I don't believe this does.
Well,
It
and if
doesn't seem like it does.
doesn't, there are lots of adventures that people have written up online that are
Yeah.
free. So
So
and really, I don't want to say that you can do this, but
I don't want to. Oh, you want to keep those in your lap?
it's fine. Whatever.
Your legs are gonna go no.
My legs are already numb. These chairs aren't that comfortable.
Let's see. I'm just sitting here looking at my bookshelf. I got other adventures up there. I got other adventure.
Well, and you can always, like Andy was saying, you can take any fantasy world or any world that you want, really, and you can apply D&D rules.
Yeah, the idea of D&D is that you can bolt it onto anything. It gives you a rule set
Mm-hmm.
to let your imagination run wild. What I always say when I'm explaining to new people is, you played Cops and Robbers as a kid, right? And everyone just goes,
Yeah.
and I'm like, but so when you shot the robber, if you were the cop, he would say, what? You'd be
Ow.
like, he would be like, I shot you and I
Be
won.
like, nuh-uh, I got
You would
armor.
be like, no, I got armor. The D&D is like, cool. Okay, here's what we're gonna do, guys. Here are the rules for whether or not you have armor, how many moves you can make if you do. You know, here are the rules for your imagination, so that we can all imagine
Mhm.
together.
Yes.
So the thing I like about 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, I've been reading a little bit of it since they published it. I really like it.
You need to hole punch that, put it in a binder before you lose order.
I know, that's the one thing. Like every time I take it anywhere. I'm very ginger with it because I'm like, I'm gonna drop these and never be able to get them back into order. The thing I like about it is that they've like, okay, 4th edition wasn't as popular as we wanted it to be, especially after coming out off of 3rd edition and 3.5, which were very popular. And they were like, they're not popular, they're not selling well with the older players. So they went to the older players and were like, hey guys, you've been playing D&D for like 30 years. What's going on?
Yeah, why aren't you buying the new rules? It's like, because we don't need to.
Yeah, they were like, literally, it's not the same game that we like playing, so we're still playing 2nd edition, or we're still playing first.
Or whatever. Yeah, we're playing the stuff that we wanted to play. And that's part of the deal with like us. When we started playing in, it was AD&D, right? It was
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition. So
yeah.
There's Dungeons and Dragons, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition, Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 edition, Dungeons and Dragons 4, and then you can kind of make the argument that Pathfinder fits in there somewhere, and then now Dungeons and Dragons 5.
Lots of D&Ds. But we played during the AD&D 2 phase.
Yes.
And
specifically the AD&D to 3rd edition hump.
Yeah.
We started in AD&D, played there for about 5 years,
and it was
the hump came.
Like, from a complexity standpoint, 3 made it a lot easier.
Yes. There was a lot of shit in 2nd edition that as kids we had no clue.
Like THAC0. Please, thank you. Thank you for getting rid of that.
I'm glad that's not a thing anymore. Really, because that was like...
If you know what THAC0 is without us having to explain it, then you might.
I'm really good at math now because of THAC0.
Yeah.
I could do complex numbers in my head, but
yeah.
So they went to the older D&D players and they said, "Why aren't we? It's not our game anymore. It's all these miniatures. We want it to be more in your head."
It feels like I'm playing Warhammer.
Yeah, they were like, it feels too video gamey.
Yeah.
Because the big thing about 4th edition, they were like, "Hey, we need to bring in these World of Warcraft players."
People want to play. They want to have an avatar because they have an avatar in video games. They have an avatar in.
It's easier for people to understand. Like,
it's easier
use the power. There's a cooldown time.
Yeah, or they want to visualize the setup. Like they want to have the visual representation of, okay, here's the room. The monster's over here. I'm over here. My spell only works at 5 blocks or has a range of 5 spaces, so I have to move 2 to get to him. Yes. Something like that.
So in 5th edition, they were like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to strip all that stuff out. It'll still be there if you want to play it. We're still going to have the rules. If you want to use the battle grid, that'll be fine. Cool. But we're also going to write the rules so that you don't need it.
Yeah.
And to me, awesome.
So like a 1x1 square on the grid is also what we would consider like 2 feet or something like that.
Because like at the end, when I last stopped playing 4th edition, I had 2 large laptop bags
full of
things. One of them was books. Well, they were both books because you don't want one heavier than the other. But I had them organized.
Books and miniatures and maps and
stuff.
Books,
miniatures, maps, and dice. And now they're saying, hey, all you need is the books and the dice. And with this free PDF, you don't even really need the books.
Yeah.
You can try it out. They're letting us try it out. I mean, if you don't like 5th edition, you don't need to play 5th edition. Mm-hmm. Which I think is super cool, and it shows a confidence in what they've made.
And like I said, you don't even need to print it out. You could just have it on your laptop, which makes it a lot easier. I would think it would make it a lot easier for the DM anyway. Like that's when I was playing with people that weren't Andy, it was almost required that we all have all the books because somebody went and pirated all the books and then put them on our laptops. Like, it was like, here's the thumb drive, it's got all their stuff. And I know that's terrible. Where are you going? And he's getting something out of his closet behind me. But it made it a lot easier because then we all had access to all the rules and we could.
So if you're an old school D&D
fan, we could call
fan,
BS on the DM when he tried to cheat us.
So if you're an old school D&D fan, this box I'm about to show up might make you poop your pants. So, ready?
I have this box too.
Boom!
Yes.
So, yes. Okay. So this is the Core Rules CD-ROM 2.0. So there's a CD-ROM inside this box.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, there was a bunch of feelies. Watch out, because the box is breaking.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to break it.
Anyway, so basically on that CD-ROM was all of the core rule books for the 2nd edition, plus all of the bonus rule books, plus everything. So that when we were playing 2nd edition, I would normally have my DM guide and a copy of the player's handbook.
For a release date. Go ahead. Keep talking.
And a copy of the player's handbook, and maybe the monster manual. Monster manual usually hangs out on the floor, and I would only pick it up if I needed it. just because you just bookmark where your monsters are, and you're like, oh, this adventure we're using hobgoblins, bookmark hobgoblin. You know, this adventure we're using, you know, lizardmen, bookmark lizardmen.
Yes.
And then it can hang out on the floor. But what I would have behind me on my computer would be that CD-ROM running, so I could be like, okay, we're gonna fast search for that rule.
Yes, and to give you a little bit of a time frame, this was 1998.
I was about to say 2000.
No, it's 1998. Ran on Windows 98. It required a 100% PC compatible,
And
70 megahertz or better Pentium processor.
I bought that new.
Yes, and I bought a copy of it too. I think it was like $30 or something.
No, you bought the 1.0 rules. You bought the one that had that video in it. Do you remember the video?
Vaguely.
There was a video where
I had a
adventurers would go into a town and fight things.
Oh no! Didn't the books come with like a demo version of this?
No. The 3rd edition books came with a demo of the character generator.
The 2nd edition books came with.
Oh, they came with CD-ROMs.
Oh, it's also free. Anyway,
the 3rd edition books came with a demo of the character generator that ended up being really shitty. This has a character generator in it that if you're printing it off on dot matrix printers, takes a long ass time.
Yeah, very long times.
So yeah, so now here in the future, when we play D&D, I will probably play D&D, you know, probably with my tablet behind the DM screen,
a laptop or something somewhere.
Yeah. You know, just because it'll be there. Probably a tablet, because it'll be that.
It'll be faster
to read it and just, have it loaded on a tablet, ready to go, and just be like, okay, guys, we're doing this.
You can queue up. Okay, here's your next encounter.
But I don't like the people that do it entirely on the computer, because for me, there's something about grabbing a handful of dice.
Well, no, I'm not saying you you get rid of the dice, you get rid of the miniatures, you get rid of all that. I'm just saying, like, for this, you put it on a laptop or a tablet.
Aww.
I mean, it's nice to have the books, and if you really want the books, I'm sure they're available. You can probably buy them at Amazon or half-price books or whatever. But yeah, it is really cool. I think it is awesome that, you know, Dungeons & Dragons or Wizards of the Coast is putting out the new D&D rules for free.
Yes.
And, you know, you can. I'm assuming they're going to put out new versions of you know, some of their classic campaigns for like Ravenloft and.
Well, I think the new default campaign is Forgotten Realms again.
Okay. Well,
which is good.
But I mean, you can also you know, do the cyberpunky mix with it. You can set it up in like the Shadowrun universe.
Now, granted, like Dungeons & Dragons, if you do that, you're kind of stripping stuff out, because it kind of assumes
you're
that
playing
this is
high
going to
fantasy.
be high fantasy. There's going to be dragons and dungeons.
Yes, but you can always. but I mean,
but
like,
it's always
the rule set's there, and you can.
Things.
Yeah, the rule set's there, and you can augment it to your will, right?
Yes,
like
that's always
so
the cool thing about Dungeons & Dragons.
You live in a world where you know, sniper rifles and handguns are the primary weapons. Well, then.
I want to run a Sword Art Online Dungeons & Dragons campaign. That would be awesome.
Anyway.
You're all stuck inside the game. Let's go. It would be so meta, because we're playing
a
tabletop Dungeons & Dragons game about an MMORPG, about being stuck in an MMORPG. Awesome. That's a great idea. Someone needs to steal that.
That is a disturbing idea.
So the coolest thing I like about the new D&D rules is my favorite D&D story. So at one point, Dave, Brian, and James, we all used to play together. We're in a city in the Forgotten Realms, and this is awesome. And James had a horrible kleptomaniac streak.
Wait. Was that Forgotten Realms?
That was Forgotten Realms.
That wasn't the Dragonlance one.
No, that wasn't.
I thought that's when he was playing Tassel.
I had the Dragonlance book around here somewhere.
I was supposed to.
It's the giant adventure of all of the Dragonlance series.
All of the main three, right?
Yeah.
Okay, not the extra crap and the stuff after that.
No.
Or before that.
The main three.
Yeah, I forgot. I was supposed to grab Soulforge and take it to my sister's house today, and I forgot. That's okay. I'll get it to her.
Anyway, so the cool thing is, so they're in this town, and like I said, James has a kleptomaniac streak in him, and he's decided
best role played thief ever.
Yeah, he's decided that he wants to rob the bank.
And me and Brian, let's see, I was playing a cleric.
Yeah,
and he was playing a paladin or something.
Yeah, he was a paladin. So they were like, we're out of this.
We were both either lawful good or lawful something.
Yeah. So
not evil.
Yes. So I'm like, okay, there's no reason you can't do that.
Made every roll.
So I basically say you have to get up on top of the roof of your inn, and then Assassin's Creed style, even though there wasn't Assassin's Creed back then. Snake over the ropes,
You have to
onto the roof there, and then
he was a halfling, so he had like extra decks anyway.
grab all do a lockpick to lockpick their save,
Mhm.
grab all their gold, get back up onto the roof, and sneak back over.
With an added penalty of now you're weighted down with all this money.
Yes. So I basically kept just making the rolls harder for him to hit. And he just kept hitting them.
He just kept hitting 20s and 19s. It was amazing.
So he got all the way almost back into his room, and I was like, okay, here's what can happen. Let me make the roll as the dungeon master behind the screen. And if you still make it, I'll double the money in your satchel. You'll have twice as much gold.
Even though he didn't know how much money he had stolen at that point.
Yeah. So it was already like this. As the DM, I knew how much money because I'd already worked out. Size of the town is X times blah 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 blah.
Everybody's in town's life savings was thousands of gold.
Here's the gold. Obviously, it's way more than he could possibly carry. Blah 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 blah. So he decided he was like, "Cool, make it for me." And I rolled the dice and then didn't say anything because he made it.
It was a 20 or a 19.
It was a 19 or 20, which is like an instant win. And I was like, and he was like, "What was it? What was it?" And I was upset because this.
You really didn't want him to do this.
I didn't want him to do it because
it would horribly imbalance the game.
A large drive of most Dungeons and Dragons games is getting more money to buy better things, to be better, to kill more monsters,
and
to
so on
get
and
more
so
money. So I didn't say anything.
And he just got like a bazillion gold for jacking one town's freaking bank.
And he just went apeshit, flipped the table over,
jumped on you,
jumped out, threw me against the wall, and was like, "Did I make it?" And I was like,
"Yes."
And then we couldn't play anymore because the D&D stuff was all over the basement.
Everything was all over. Aww.
But that's to me, that's my favorite D&D memory, and it was I was 12, 13.
Yeah. And
it was a while ago.
It was forever ago.
And
I really wish we could play
been able to do that really since AD&D, because all of those things have now been quantified.
Yeah.
So that 13-year-old, 12-year-old DMs don't get backed into a corner where they're now having to deal with a halfling thief that has is carrying around the gross national product of a large country.
Which it was a lot. He had enough platinum to have his sword platinumized and then pay for it.
Yeah.
With platinum.
Took his sword, got it platinumized, got it enchanted, got it platinumed again, and then paid for it in platinum. Which is platinum, you're only ever supposed to have 2 or 3 platinum coins
and he
as
had
a character.
A couple of hundred.
Yeah, it was bad. Really bad.
He made some money. And he didn't share. Little jerk.
So anyway, that's my favorite. My other D&D, when I was in college, the cool thing about 4th edition, really about 3rd edition, was when I was in college, you could now do large-scale battles that the characters could interact with in a meaningful way. Instead of saying you run down this, trench and slide in things, and you're killing guys like Aragorn is in Return of the King, just running by just hitting dudes with your sword.
How much XP am I getting?
Yeah. In 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, you'd be like, okay, here's the map. Here's where the guys are. Go do it, and let's actually have a game out of it.
And to be fair, you could do that in 2nd edition, but the rules were kind of fuzzy on.
Yeah, the rules were always where are you? How are they attacking you? What's your attack?
And then they added things like initiative and whatnot. Whenever you enter the 8 squares
not
around.
Initiative, attacks of opportunity.
Attacks of opportunity, my bad.
Yes.
But yeah, you would still have the terminology is different, but it was in my mind it was always the same. But yeah, so whenever you enter the 8 blocks around the monster, it would automatically get an attack against you.
Yes.
Even if it was behind you and didn't know you were there.
Yes.
Or you were behind it.
The problem with 3rd edition, I always felt, was and my players have always said this, is that I always get very uninterested in the game after they get to level 20. Because there's a separate rulebook in 3rd edition for epic level play.
Which is 20 and up.
20 and up. And it's just so unwieldy that it's not worth it. I've never felt it was worth it as a DM to even entertain that.
I mean, you have to think about it when you. I always thought of after I started playing an MMO, I always thought of D&D as in an MMO term. It's once you hit that ceiling, The only way to make it harder is to throw bigger numbers at you.
Yeah, the only way
And
to like
having a monster with like 6,000 life in D&D takes forever, even if your characters are all like level 25 or 30.
yeah, and it's not horribly interesting. Like
I
like,
attack
it's one
it takes
thing-
200 damage. All right.
it's one thing to attack like have you know a monster party that's like a hobgoblin commander and like 3 orcs, you know, fighting you.
Yeah.
But like an epic level play, it gets really, really boring if it's, you know, a lich necromancer super god and 8, you know, chromatic dragons. And then it's just like, I'm not having fun, your guys aren't having fun. You know, for that reason, I usually like curtail. But the thing I liked about 4th edition was that because they steadily gave you more powers, players always had something new to do. And because they filled out the back end on the monster manual, you always had monsters that you could keep throwing at them.
Yeah, there wasn't like,
that were fun to fight.
Here's a super powerful dragon, because you killed that ultra powerful dragon, so now we got to give you a super ultra powerful dragon. And it's like
3rd edition just had like the graph keeps going. Like if a level 20 dragon has X amount of HP, then a level 40 dragon has
double that or 4 times that.
Yeah, a magnitude more. Like that's not that fun. But if it's, you know, now we have a vampiric, undead Draco Lich that has, you know,
I mean,
like necromancer summoning powers, like that's a cooler monster to fight.
Yeah, because
but as a DM in 2nd edition and in 3rd edition, you had to do a lot of that legwork yourself, which wasn't really fun for me because I would have to sit down with at that point, you know, 3 books and go, okay, how does this applying this template to this monster and then put this template on top of that and this template on top of that.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I'd be like, this isn't worth my time.
No. But
and as a DM, I always liked winging it more than anything else. I would have a basic idea of what the adventure was going to be.
I mean, you could always say, hey, you know, your XP cap is going to be 10, like from the get-go. And at level 10, you're already pretty powerful, but you're not like in that godlike status yet.
A lot of players don't like starting on level 1 because they feel like they don't have a lot of options, which it's true. At level 1,
at level 1, you can
options.
Yeah,
but
especially with spellcasters.
Yeah. That's because we want you to feel awesome when you get to level 10, or super awesome at 20, or like godlike at 40, which godlike is 40. You know, because you've come all the way from level 1. You've gone from being Bilbo Baggins walking out his door with without his pocket handkerchief, I'm going on an adventure, to Bilbo Baggins at the end of the Battle of 5 Armies. Like that's the arc. You've been, you know, Aragorn hunting Gollum to Aragorn, you know, fighting the trolls of the Black Gates. That's the arc.
All I'm visualizing now is, as you watch the Hobbit movies, you see Bilbo level up. You get like this little plus level thing as he goes through different challenges.
You know, there's a difference between like here's a better example from the same movie. There's a difference between like Thorin running away from Smaug with his tail between his legs, and then coming back years later with the gray in his hair.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to bury an axe in your skull.
Yeah.
And being able to do it, kind of.
Yeah. I get you. I don't know.
There's a difference between Bard and Legolas. Like, Legolas, like, riding the shield down the stairs, popping people as he goes, whereas Bard has the longbow, and he can probably still pop people as he goes, but he's going to be slower at it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bard's human.
Well, yeah.
Legolas is an elf. He lives forever. He's probably like 500 years older than Bard. He's probably been doing it for a hell of a long time.
I mean, good example, Legolas does better ass stuff than
Gimli?
No, what's her name? The elf.
The Kate from the
Kate.
I don't know what the character's name is. I have a feeling she's gonna die, and that's why she's not in the later movies.
But so there's a difference between those two because Legolas is a higher level archer, or fighter, whatever.
He's a badass.
Yeah, I mean, she's not.
And he's royal boy.
Tauriel, the Wood Elf Tauriel.
Yeah, whatever. She's gonna die in the last movie, and she won't. That's why she's not in the later ones.
Yeah, you know, there's a difference between the most stark difference is there's a difference between Gandalf kind of getting his ass handed to him by the Balrog, and Gandalf at the end of the books where he's like a god.
Well, that's because he died and came back.
Well, yeah, but you also get experience when you do that.
Well, there you go. See, he leveled up like 5 times.
You got to fight out of the underworld.
That's right.
That's my other favorite.
That's a D&D campaign right there.
When people die, you're like, oh, well, you're dead. Like, do I reroll a new character? Like, no, you have to fight your way out of the underworld. What the hell do you think this is? I'm a DM. I'm not letting you out of this easy. Somewhere around here,
go God of War yourself out.
Yeah, somewhere
Out of
around here, I
80s.
probably have the second edition, a Paladin in the Abyss campaign.
Oh man.
I loved that one. Oh, it was so awesome. It was basically like basically the Paladin dies, the other people like have to go find a portal to the underworld and help him
Fight
regain
his way out.
life, fighting his way out.
That's awesome. That sounds pretty badass.
Yeah. I liked that one, and I liked, what was there was one that was like a Tale of Kings or something. It was a low-level camp. It was basically a low-level mini-campaign where this uncle kills the brother's the king.
Mm-hmm.
The uncle kills him and is now trying to kill the son who's going to become the king instead of the uncle so that the uncle can become king. You know, a very Shakespearean normal thing. But the adventurers have to find the kid and then protect him. That's what their drive is. I was like, and it's excellently written, and they've never republished it in a new to my knowledge, never republished it in a new edition. It's always one of my
but you could always just, oh, this monster has these stats. No, not anymore. This
but at the
monster
same
now
time,
has
it's
these stats.
the combination of the Book of Layers in the Forgotten Realms book and the quick dungeon maker, where you just roll dice and like build the dungeon tiles out. Like that was 9/10 of what you guys played when you played Advanced of Dragons with me, because I would be like, I have this really cool idea for a story that I want to tell,
but I don't want to draw.
I don't want to draw a map out, so I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna open this book with these tables in it and this little mini story and be like, go, just do this.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite D&D story?
I think it was we played on.
It's cool if I'm not in it.
No, you're in it.
Okay.
Well, because I played mostly with you, because when I played with other people, it usually devolved into, I'm going to power game the hell out of this, and it's no fun for anybody but me.
I'm going to say this. If college lasted as long as middle school and high school did, then...
If you're a doctor, it does.
Yeah, it's true.
Well,
then
actually,
my college group, who are really good friends from college, we played, I would also have these really cool memories with them, because I do have cool memories with them, but like, because we played like every weekend for almost 7 years straight.
Yeah. I want to say it was the Halloween campaign we did. You sent us into a castle, and we all got separated from each other.
Oh yeah, I love doing that.
And we were all like, okay, we're running around. We all found our way to the central room, but we were all trying to figure out where we were going. It was like a Scooby-Doo thing where everybody kind of gets separated because of traps and stuff.
That's actually where I got the idea.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And then we all kind of came into this room, and you're like, okay, well, in front of you, you see a halfling, a short shadow, and a tall shadow that looks to be holding a bow.
Yeah.
And in front of the other guy is like, you see a shadow holding a bow and a shadow holding an axe.
Yeah, and
so on and so forth. And then one of us
shadows the whole time.
And one of us, I think it was me. It might have been me. It might have been James. But it was like, are we fighting each other?
Yeah,
we need to stop this right now.
Basically, so one of them had...
And then you're like,
I want to say it was...
Make an intelligence check. And my int was so low.
Yeah, I want to say it was
playing a warrior.
Someone like did the first swing. And it took them a while to figure out that I wasn't rolling the dice anymore. That I was just taking like, oh, you did 6 damage.
Yeah.
And then come over here. Oh, well, you failed your defense. You get 6 damage.
Yeah.
And then they were like, wait.
Hold on. So we figured it out, and we got that, and then we wound up like, I don't know, the floor fell out, and we all fell down to the bottom of this giant-ass pit, and that's where the big monster boss was. But that was... I know I'm really terrible at telling stories like that, but that specific instance really stuck out with me, because that was like one of the ones that was like, damn, we all got freaking hoodwinked.
Yep, it was cool.
I
did that many, many more times. I did it with 2 of my college groups. Yeah. And basically my idea is always, get them separated, get them confused.
Make them fight shadows forever.
They'll fight each other. Or end up stealing from each other, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and James was stealing crap from everybody.
My favorite one in college was a wilderness. It wasn't a Halloween, so I did it in the wilderness. I couldn't do it in the woods. Castle. Yeah. So they were all separated, and like one person camped out for the night, and then the other person I was like, oh, well, you through the fire, through the trees, you see someone camping, and they got close. I was like, you can't see who it is, but it seems to be more than one person. So they were like, oh, well, this other person that's camping is just by themselves. He's like, I'm gonna go up and steal from them. He stole from them. They woke up the next day. I was like, you thought it was 2 people. Because there's the person and their stuff, and you stole from them.
Yeah.
So it was very cool, and that always causes. I always do this on like April Fools or Halloween because it always causes a lot of infighting, and you can always kind of like after it's done, grab the Etch-a-Sketch and go, okay, it was all a dream. We're good.
It was all
shaky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Pull the Dallas ending, and he's in the shower.
It was a kid. It was an autistic kid with a snow globe. I also liked when we got into what was it?
We got into the Dragonlance thing for a bit.
The Dragonlance
then you
thing
had
was
your
fun.
own thing that we did.
We started with a campaign that I wrote, which
Yeah.
had, remember that huge map that you
Yeah.
guys never even went through? I basically did way too much work.
Yeah.
And then like didn't like any of it and was like, this is all horrible. And then that Christmas got the Forgotten Realms campaign.
Yeah, and then you're like,
So
this
it
is
was
what we're
like,
doing.
This is what we're doing because this is all. And this stuff is way more interesting than all the stuff I thought of.
Yeah.
And then so we did Forgotten Realms a lot, and then we moved on. Oh, we did a Lord of the Rings campaign.
Yeah.
Which I got real tired with really quick because it ended up being like you're always fighting orcs.
Well, yeah, because you're almost always fighting orcs.
Yeah, and they weren't Aragorn, Boromir, and Legolas. They were other people. Like during the War of the Ring, which now as an adult I can think of like an infinite amount of cool things that would be.
Yeah.
But as a middle schooler, it was like
12-year-old
it's
Andy.
not in the books. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And then we went back to Forgotten Realms. Then we did Dragonlance.
Yep.
We got through the Dragonlance thing. Which Dragonlance had this giant book. It was like almost like the size of a phone book. And it was basically like, here's the first adventure. Here's the second adventure. Here's the third adventure. Just read this book. Play it as you're reading. You're gonna be good.
You can lead your party through this, and you'll have all kinds of fun. And
Yeah.
now
then
that
we
you
went back
finish
to
this,
Forgotten
you can
Realms.
do your own thing.
Yeah. Then we went back to Forgotten Realms because I was like, well,
Yeah,
It's
the
done
Sword
now,
Coast is fun.
yeah, because
Baldur's
that's when Baldur's
Gate
Gate came
style,
out,
let's
and
do
we were
this,
like,
yeah.
this is the best place ever, Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And then when I was in college,
it's really funny. Just bringing up Baldur's Gate. One of the guys I work with we're at 40 minutes.
yeah, we gotta
One of the guys I work with just recently bought the enhanced editions of both Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2.
do that.
Do that. But he was sitting there, and I feel like such a dirtbag for doing this. But he was sitting there, he was clicking, like, you remember how it had, like, the random number generator that would, like, fill in the things?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I don't want to play with anything other than a 95.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, why don't you just make a save?
Yeah.
Why don't you just make a save and then hack the save state?
It's also second edition rules, too, which is dumb, because, like, an 18/00 or 95 or 65, whatever not, isn't as good as a 19.
Yeah.
And you can get a 19, like, by gaming the system, by taking
and that's what he
a
did.
point off one thing and putting it there. And
that's what he did. He because it would allow you to roll, and then save, and then you could always bring that one back up. And he forgot to save like a 93 or something. And I'm like, I was like, damn it, Russ, just make a save, hack the save state, and then you can give your character stats whatever he wants.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate was cool. I remember after Baldur's Gate 2 came out, I immediately was like, we can't. You guys have to go north from the sword. You either had to go north or you had to go towards the Heartland Realms.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if you go south, like, there's just there's a story down there that's so awesomely cool. I couldn't hope to tell it. So we have to go somewhere else. And then third edition we did Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
I remember it was a Heartland, Dalelands, and Cormyr campaign. Oh, and the Moonsea. I love the Moonsea. But when I was in college, we started over there. And they wanted to go across the. I always forget what it was called because it used to be there used to be a giant desert in the middle of this place.
Yeah.
But between third edition and into fourth edition, it got filled in and it became natural again. So they wanted to cross that, and then when they got over to the Sword Coast, which is where all the Dritz Duorden.
Yeah.
Like if anyone knows the Forgotten Realms. They either know it from D&D or they know it from these famous fantasy books where all that stuff is, which I love that stuff.
Is that Ari Salvatore?
Yeah, Ari Salvatore.
Yeah.
I have a super edition.
There's one
right
of them down there. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the Hunter's Blades. That's like one of the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so they got there while I was reading the Hunter's Blades so I could work the Hunter's Blades stuff, and then I also...
all this other stuff going on at the same time.
As the fourth edition, as it was getting ready to change into fourth edition, which didn't happen while I was in college, it happened right afterwards. But they kept adding new stuff, and they would release articles. They were like, "Here's what's happening in the Forgotten Realms during this time. Here's what we're going to do. All this stuff. Because between third edition Forgotten Realms and fourth edition Forgotten Realms, there's like 80 years or something. It's a big jump.
It's a big jump.
A lot of characters died. So they were like, so it was cool to play in that interim area.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Sword Coast, which I love the Sword Coast. Just the same thing about me. I love Scandinavia and Iceland and Greenland and the Celtic Isles, and to me that's like, when they venture out of the northern Middle Earth and down to where Minas Tirith is, I get a lot less interested in. But when the Hobbit's up there, with Mirkwood and then
Yeah.
eventually the Lake Town and that area, I'm like, this is cooler because it's colder. Like, I like Rohan, I like the Rohirrim, but outside of that, like, the Gondorians, I'm like, it's cool, I get what you're doing, Tolkien,
Yeah.
but no, it's really cool. And then and the fantasy novels like the Dragonlance novels and the Forgotten Realms novels that do not take place in the Sword Coast never hold my interest, ever. Even like Neverwinter Nights, when there's a campaign edition in Neverwinter Nights where you go out into Anarok.
Yeah.
That's what the desert's called.
Yeah.
Anarok.
Okay.
I hated that one. I was like, skip it. Let's go to the one that takes you through the Underdark and Beneath Water.
Yeah.
Oh, remember Undermountain? Oh, I love that box set.
Yeah, that was a good box set.
Undermountain's this giant. Basically, there's a huge metropolitan, like London, Victorian era London city, Dickensian area, and beneath that there's another city called Skullport. There's sewers, and then beneath that, this wizard has gone batshit crazy and built a giant labyrinth that will like the top parts of it are huge, and then you go even deeper into it, and there are parts that are like clockwork, so that you can never get yourself around. Like, you will always get lost in the bottom of Undermountain. And then like at the very bottom of it is what is it, like a giant Dracolich or something? There's something that's like huge and evil at the bottom of this thing. It's just, I loved it so much. Oh, it's so awesome.
So, as you can tell, we both love D&D.
Yes.
Andy's super excited about
I've been
fifth ed or whatever.
As I've been reading more and more about this, I've been tweeting out like, I need to get a new group together. Like, we need to play more D&D.
It's bothering me that those aren't tapped down, and it really, I don't know why. It just does. Thank you. I'm less upset now.
We highly suggest, if you played D&D before, as a DM that has played D&D a lot, I highly suggest you download this, read through it. If you don't like what Dungeons & Dragons has become, read through this. I think you'll like where it's going.
Yes.
That's my opinion. I like where it's going. I'm excited to play it again. I think we should probably schedule that for next weekend or something. Now that I have my weekends off, I don't know. We should probably do a D&D thing.
Okay. I mean, I gotta get time away from the missus, but all right.
Oh, I gotta get time away from the missus too. We should do it. Ooh, maybe we should do like that for Halloween or something.
Okay, maybe. I mean, last time we tried to play D&D at your apartment, 2 apartments before this house. It was the last apartment you had.
Okay,
that little tiny one where the dude. Oh no! It was the one before that, because it was the one where the guy lost your wife's wedding ring. He threw it away when you moved it out.
My second apartment.
Yeah, your second apartment. It was like a block up from your first apartment.
That one.
That was
the
last.
Just you and me.
No, it was you and me and Todd and Allison and my wife.
Oh, then the table was like this big, right?
It was tiny, and then my wife had to go to work. She's like, "Can you put me in a bubble? I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work the next day and whatnot." And that was the last time I remember trying to play D&D, and it took 4 hours to make characters.
Yeah, when I moved in with my wife, I inherited her bigger table. So the next time I played D&D at that place with Allison and Todd, it went much better because we weren't like all on top of one another.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we can always. You got a lot of room in this.
Yeah, we could always play it on the floor. We used to do that when we were kids.
Yeah, but I think people's backs would.
Oh, I know my back would be killing me the next day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess somebody could lay on the bed and just drop.
But I'm sure we can get like
we can figure something out.
Card table or something. We could find. I mean,
yeah.
If it came down to it, and they were like, Andy, we need a table for D&D. I'd be like, I guess I have to go out to Home Depot.
or go up to the thrift store.
Yeah, thrift store probably.
Probably $10. Get you a nice big fat table. Either way.
Get someone with a truck to bring it home.
Just take the legs off. Put the legs back on when you get back here.
Yeah, but if it's big enough, how am I gonna? Well, I guess I got a hatchback. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Please play D&D. Keep on rolling.
Yep.
If you've never played D&D before, I highly suggest
give it a try.
You give it a try, even if you're because this is a video game podcast, but.
We do like other types of games.
This is the type of thing that, as a video game player, I think you'll really
And this is something that got me more into fantasy games and JRPGs.
Yes. When I was already into JRPGs.
Yeah,
JRPGs are what got me into Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, and this is the opposite for me.
I remember,
D&D and I was like, man, I love these RPG systems. Can I play video games like this? So
I remember telling my dad about Final Fantasy. I was playing Phantasy Star. I was playing Phantasy Star 4. You let me borrow
the Genesis version, yeah.
And we were talking about it at Old Chicago, so this was a really long time ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about it at Old Chicago, and he goes, "Oh, that sounds like Dungeons and Dragons."
Doing what?
And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. I used to play in college." And I was like, "Huh?" And then the next day, the Sci-Fi Channel, when it used to be SCI-FI, had like a behind the scenes at TSR, and I got to see what it was, and then like I was
brain imploded,
adamant like. I need this thing. I need it. And then he was like, no, you don't need it. You just get a notebook and some dice. And so he went out and found me the brown box Dungeons and Dragons starter set.
The like $20 box that you could buy.
And then
like a pamphlet for rules.
No, that's the one that came with the brown book. Remember, I used to bring it in all the time, and we would look through it at lunch. I'd be like, guys, look how cool! Like, there's this thing called the basilisk. This thing.
It's a basilisk.
It's a basilisk.
We were trying to read words that were too big for 10-year-olds.
Yes, but it was so cool, and that first game when it was because it was you, me,
and
James, and I don't think Brian had started yet though.
I think it might have just been you, me, and James, and then maybe that guy Chris. No, I don't think that guy Chris.
No, Chris played a bit.
He played once or
I
twice.
wonder what happened to Chris, man. I haven't seen him.
He came out. He actually moved into my. We should probably stop.
Anyway, stop.
We'll stop. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Play D&D, make memories.